an indigenous Celtal village inhabited by people living in fear. They're among tens of thousands of people participating in Mexico's Zapatista rebel movement. They didn't allow us to show their faces, but explained their resistance started 14 years ago with an armed uprising. Today it lives on in the form of an autonomous government controlling lands reclaimed following the uprising. Their basic demands: land rights, autonomy from capitalism, dignity, and respect for their cultures.
The indigenous Celtal people are some of Mexico's most vulnerable and poorest, and yet they live right next to these areas of immense natural wealth, which some would like to see turned into tourist resorts. The villagers say that's precisely why they're being targeted and removed from their own lands.
Today, these villagers are coming out of the shadows again to denounce a recent series of violent attacks.
All those who come and threaten us are armed. Most members of the paramilitary group are armed. They threaten to kill us one by one.
In the last weeks and months, paramilitary gunmen carrying out the interests of political elites have burned down some of their crops and homes. The unarmed villagers now walk through their lands with a sense that more violence is imminent. Some of that pressure comes from elite Mexican army units that constantly patrol these remote villages. The government says they're on the lookout for drug traffickers and illegal immigrants from Central America. But the Zapatista communities call it a clear provocation.
The current situation in this part of Chiapas is very critical. The low-intensity war not only continues, but lately it has increased. The military presence and operations by several paramilitary groups are powerful.
A series of paramilitary attacks over the years bolster these fears. The worst one occurred in 1997 in the village of Actial. For 6 hours, gunmen hunted down their victims. 45 people were killed in the cold-blooded massacre, most of them innocent women and children.
My father, brothers, and nephews were killed with machine guns.
Human rights groups say such attacks are part of a master plan to force the Zapatistas and other indigenous groups off lands which boast much of the country's greatest water, mineral, and medicinal plant resources.
We believe the federal government is behind this policy. The state government is helping this policy with the use of police. Those that are detaining people and have been attacking with the paramilitary groups.
Still, the indigenous rebels say they're prepared to endure the escalating violence aimed at them. And no matter what range of strategies are used by government authorities and paramilitaries, the Zapatistas say they'll continue their national resistance movement. Frank Contreras, Al Jazeera, Chiapas, Mexico.